Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Ooh, I'm so ready for these topics today.
We got some good ones.
Welcome to Sports Tonight here. Wednesday, sports producer Scott Pennyman here with the sports director, Bailey Burmaster. Bailey, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's Wednesday edition, hump day edition. We usually bring the heat on Wednesday.
It's mandatory.
I guess it is mandatory. I'm also very excited about this first topic because it's pretty funny.
Well, I made the topic with you in mind. Obviously, coming off the 6:30 sport was 6 o'clock sports. Justin Fields sets the record straight, kinda right? On the podcast, the Equanimous St. Brown Brothers. The St. Brown Brothers. We got Equanimous and
Amon.
What's the other one name?
Amon
St. Brown. Where they had Justin Fields on as a guest, and he talked about his off-season situations and Instagram transactions lately. What did you think about that, Emily?
So to catch everyone up who may, just in case they need a little backstory here, there's been so much speculation and rumors on social media. There's not really been any valid reports linking the Falcons to Justin Fields. One who can make an educated assumption that they might look at all avenues. There's been reports that multiple teams have asked the Bears about Fields, which is accurate, but we still don't, there's no reports, and that's because it's kind of like a tampering period almost. Like the new league year starts on March 13th. That's when you can start making trades again for the new league year.
It's coming up fast.
It is. So we'll learn more here rather quickly, 2-3 weeks or so. But so there's been all that speculation, and while all that speculation was going on, Fields unfollowed on Instagram, the official Bears team Instagram, and someone caught wind of it. It made its round on social media. Something you have to be aware of that with as well is the Bears do have the first overall pick. There's been a lot of speculation of will they get Caleb Williams? Will they get a new QB? What are they going to do? And that's where things get really interesting, essentially. So Justin Fields is on the Browns podcast, and was asked what's with that, and he basically said it's his off time. He's going on vacation. He doesn't want to see Bears and NFL things on his Instagram, so he decided to unfollow it. It's not that deep, and then correlated it to like a modern dating story, essentially of. Just because I don't follow a girl doesn't mean I don't mess with her. I just don't want to see it. Which means, what that really means, if you read between the lines, Scott, is he's in her DMs or vice versa.
So he's in Ryan Pace's DMs, the Bears GM.
Yeah, I
We all, look, we can all relate, right? Because we all unfollow people as we're going on vacation, right? I mean, that's
I've never done that.
Right, me either. That's why I figured like maybe that was a new thing and I'm behind the times. Maybe you, if you're following your employer, whoever you work for, you unfollow them as you're going on vacation. Justin hit me with something new. I never heard that before, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not I follow all the people I work with. I feel like if you don't follow them, there's something there maybe, right?
So, what if I unfollow you tomorrow, Bailey? I wonder how. Is that going to be speculated around?
Well, you're not going on vacation, so I don't know. I don't know. I need you to come with a better excuse. Can you at least give me that? If you unfollow me, can you give me a better excuse?
Who really checks to see who unfollowed him anyway? I mean, so like whoever found out that Justin Fields had unfollowed the Bears, like what does that person have going on in their life that they actually look to go and see?
They're on Justin Fields' watch, apparently.
Justin's not following the Bears. I caught it. Like who's even looking?
It reminds me. Have you ever done, I don't know, maybe you did it with the Deshaun Browns thing, but like plane tracker where you're tracking planes and where they're going.
Oh, for sure.
I love and hate that because it's fun to like see these planes, but I also feel like it's so dumb. I've done it a few times for coaching searches for Texas Tech.
Everyone does it nowadays, especially in TV, right?
Yeah, so it's all very interesting, all very kind of pettiness, but to say because you're going on vacation, how about just like not be on your phone?
Well, look, I mean, this is going to be the theme until we figure out what happens with the Bears and Justin Fields, right? I mean, because until draft day, until they draft Caleb Williams or whoever they're going to get, until we get into the offseason, there's going to be speculation, right? I mean, as far as, especially from the Falcons standpoint, obviously with Justin Fields being from around here, seems like a good fit. And other teams too. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been linked to him, and There's other teams who are going to be quarterback needy who aren't going to be able to take their quarterback in the first round of the draft because those guys are going to be taken up, and then those guys will sort of hit the trade in the free agent market. So until this thing shakes down the way it's supposed to, there's not going to be any closure. And Justin Fields, this is going to be, this is the offseason, a.k.a. silly season sometimes. So there's going to be a lot of that coming his way until this thing shakes down or until the Bears take Caleb Williams or whatever happens. So he better get ready to have his definitely be ready to set the record straight. But look, I think he's going to be traded, right? I mean, it seems like that's what we're headed to.
It would be so surprising if he wasn't.
Yeah. So
let's be real.
Right. I mean, so it seems like the Bears are it seems like the Bears have unfollowed him too. So so we'll see. Hey, so I was scrolling across some things today, and of course, something else that comes with the offseason is, unfortunately for the players involved, cap casualties. There's going to be teams who are going to be trying to fit up underneath the NFL salary cap. They'll take a look at their books and they'll see who's worth it, who should be on there, who's aging and making too much money, who's been injured a lot and making too much money. So when you see some of the names on that list, as I'm seeing here, there are some surprises to me. All right. Number one name at the top of that list for me, obviously coming from where I come from. Oh, I got some stories about this too.
Okay.
Nick Chubb, who's at the top of that list. He's number one.
Yeah, and that's wild.
Look.
I mean, in a way I get it, but in a way it just seems too blasphemy to even comprehend.
See, now it's interesting that you mentioned blasphemy because I used this as a status this week on my social media. I said the Browns are going to have an interesting decision moving forward with Nick Chubb. Now, look, you covered the Browns. I covered the Browns. Nick Chubb is Cleveland royalty. I mean, people around here love him too because he went to UGA. He was a great player there. In Cleveland, it's probably double that. Nick Chubb is like...
The only thing that keeps Nick Chubb from being like the ultimate superstar in the NFL is his personality. And I mean that with like a lot of respect and love. He's very low key. Mm-hmm. He's very chill.
Very
a man
humble.
of few words. If he was maybe a little more extrovert or outgoing, I think he would be like the ultimate superstar. But he's a guy that does everything right on the field in every capacity.
Look, I love Nick Chubb.
But you want them to cut him.
Okay, so
Scott.
I'm looking at this from
Scott Pennyman.
I'm looking at this from the way teams look at things, right? And so, number one, he plays a position at running back, and I don't mean to devalue Nick Chubb or anybody else who plays a running back position, right? But that's a position where you're probably going to get your best production from a guy in the first 5 years of his career. Let's just be real. Nick Chubb has had 5 very, Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber seasons for the Browns. So they've gotten their worth out of him. They gave him a second contract. I believe it was 3 years, $36 million. And so he has a $15 million cap hit coming up for this year. So I believe the Browns have done right by Nick Chubb up to this point in his career. Obviously, he suffers a catastrophic knee injury in the second game of the season against the Steelers after the hit from Minkah Fitzpatrick and pretty much tore every ligament in his knee. So now you look at his situation where your best and most productive offensive player over the last few years, who was a running back, is entering the last year of his contract, has a big cap number, and he plays a position that, let's just be real, it's a real replaceable position in the NFL, right? I mean, after kickers and punters and all that stuff,
yeah,
you
but
can find other guys to
I
run the
feel like
football.
I hear you, and I agree with you. But I feel like these two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. I feel like that can be true while also saying that's also disrespectful to Nick Chubb.
Like, disrespectful how, though?
Because of how good he is. You can't replace Nick Chubb. You think Jerome Ford's really just going to swoop in and do what Nick Chubb was doing? Absolutely
Bailey,
not.
they won 11 games this past year with Jerome Ford in the backfield.
That's because Joe Flacco showed up to play.
But look, they were winning before Flacco. It's just obviously he took
Not as well.
He took things to a new level. And so I guess my point with that is Jerome Ford as good as Nick Chubb? Absolutely not. I'm not going to sit here and try to speak that foolishness. But what I will say is, what it speaks to is you can find other guys to run the football.
I don't disagree with you, and with how the offense may turn in a sense of just airing it out.
Right.
This is what I'll say. I am for this if Nick Chubb ends up on a team and he ends up winning a Super Bowl with that team, because that man has had to bear through some terrible times in Cleveland. Never so much as peeped a word, was about his business and
Sounds like Joe Thomas too. No.
like just I want all the success for Nick Chubb, and if that means the future is somewhere else, okay, great. But it's also hard, I think, to think that you're not going to run into your own speed bumps by getting rid of Nick Chubb. You're sorely mistaken.
Oh, the fan base is gonna blow up. I mean, look. I mean,
Well, and think about it this way. Okay, so this was supposed to be the year for the Browns.
was.
Everyone's healthy. Deshaun Watson, like all the pieces were there, right? The defense, you got the defensive
supposed to be.
coordinator. And then what happens? It's Cleveland, and there's 50 million bajillion injuries, and you have to overcome that. And now you want to get rid of Nick Chubb next season after finally Deshaun Watson's coming back and healthy. I just think
we'll see about that one too.
I just think it's like, don't count your blessings.
Look, I think they should bring back Nick Chubb on a team-friendly contract with the understanding that we're probably going to draft someone else to compete with you.
And he's going to say bye.
You think so?
I would.
I thought he was a team player, though. I thought he was Mr. Team
Okay,
guy.
but if the team's telling you, hey, we respect you, but not this much. Okay, well, why would I not go somewhere else and play somewhere else and probably get more money? Because someone will pay him.
I don't know, Bailey. I mean,
You don't?
He's like age 28. That's his second catastrophic knee injury.
I will
He suffered
say
the
that
first-
is, out of everything, that is the most concerning, is
Yeah.
that knee injury,
I mean,
how is he going to bounce back?
I mean, he had the knee injury back at University of Georgia. Then last year, the catastrophic knee injury. So I don't know that there's a huge market for a 28-year-old running back who's lost some tread on him. He still performed at a high level before he blew his wheel last season. That is coming off of two major knee injuries in about the last 6 years. I don't know how big that market is. But, look, I love Nick Chubb, the player. I love Nick Chubb, as far as the locker room guy, not with the media, but I mean, as far as the locker room,
Yeah.
they love Nick Chubb. So, from that standpoint, I would hope that they would do everything they could to try to work out something that works for both Nick Chubb and for the Browns. But I guess I'm just saying, if you can't do that, I believe you have to move on because you can find other guys that can run the football. Now, the PR standpoint, if my social media page is any indication of what that's going to look like, the Browns going to be in trouble. But from that standpoint, but look, it's football. Look, everyone's replaceable. Players, management, that's just the way the game works, right?
Yep.
So check out this, and I did not expect to see this as I was browsing through articles today. So the NBA All-Star Game, which was much complained about if you watch social media
Oh,
right
no,
after the
everyone
game,
was
right?
not happy with it.
Right, people weren't happy. They scored like 1 million points in the game and all that stuff, right? So the ratings for the game were up 20% from last year.
That's crazy.
That's not something I expected to see. Does that surprise you as well?
It does surprise me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Adam Silver was even disgruntled. How did he hand off the award? Here, you guys scored the most points, I think is what he said. It was very kind of dry and sarcastic.
It was such a stupid-looking game.
I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what the answer is. It's above my pay grade. But I found it very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because, look, I remember growing up watching All-Star games, and they normally would get competitive in the second half. Like the first half, you'd see some nice dunks, alley-oops, all that fun stuff. And then late third quarter, early fourth quarter, you'd see some real competitive basketball. There was at no point this past week did you see any brand of competitive basketball. I mean, it was just almost like guys hanging out at the park, throwing alley-oops with each other, the defense standing around watching. And I heard players say, we have to do something to fix this. Well, you're the players, right? I mean, you can fix this by actually playing competitive basketball. So, look, I mean, and I don't know why they play scared. I mean, look, you could be injured doing anything. So I don't want to hear that reason or that excuse.
No, I just think that they treat it like a pickup game. And it's like, well, why would I hustle back on defense? This really doesn't matter.
I just feel like if you're a competitor, why not, right? I mean, it's just basketball. Like, this is what you do. I mean, for me, the risk of getting hurt just shouldn't be there because you can get hurt in practice. You can get hurt working on the offseason. You can get hurt in the 54th game of the season,
I mean,
right?
and
So,
think about
it's
it, too. It's also like a breakup of just, for them, I mean, it's a party weekend. Let's be real. So
Yeah, okay.
one less thing to have to like mentally stress and prepare yourself for to really care and be a competitor. Now, I think that loses the Kobe Bryant-esque mentality of like he probably would have just gone full throttle.
Well, let's just be real. I mean, that sort of attitude in professional basketball was gone a long time ago. I mean, that era probably kind of left with Kobe Bryant, that hardcore competitive era where guys actually wanted to go out there and compete hard against one another.
Yeah.
That's been gone. So now it's just kind of extended into the All-Star game. And, yeah, look, I mean, what's going to happen pretty soon, well, I'm not going to say that because these ratings are actually growing, but you look at what the NFL did with the Pro Bowl, right? I mean, so if you would think if it doesn't get competitive pretty soon,
Things will change.
they may think about some of those things, right? So we have to get to some Braves sound, right? So with the Braves, CBS Sports MLB predictions, as we were glossing over that earlier, once again, big surprise. They think the Braves are going to win over 100 games, and they have the second best odds to win the World Series. Only team with better odds, the LA Dodgers. That's kind of surprising to me as far as the Dodgers.
I mean, all of this is great, but we've seen what has happened with the Braves the last 2 seasons. You better figure out how to beat the Phillies before you worry about anything else.
You just want to deflate everyone's spirit, huh?
No, I'm just spitting the truth.
Okay, all right. Well, I tell you what, we got some players. We were obviously down there all last week, bunch of players talking in anticipation of their season. I tell you what, they're going to be spitting some truth. Let's listen to them spit a little bit of truth about this coming season and how excited they are for it.
It's going good. Excited to be here. Get out of the cold weather in Mississippi, get down here and some good weather. So feel great, body feels good, ready to get things rolling.
Austin, obviously you guys are always confident and the goal is always World Series, but that's kind of been a theme that guys are talking about, World Series or bust. Do you sense that in spring training so far?
I think there's definitely an edge of guys, going to work, preparing. I'm here for it. The mentality of going into the season is, of course, winning a World Series. We got to stay healthy, got to, take care of business throughout the regular season. But, I think that's definitely the goal.
First impressions of your new teammate, Jared Kelenic, how have they been?
Great. He's jacked. No, he's been great. The work ethic is there. You obviously know about the talent. And I'm excited. He comes to work every day, ready to get after it. So nothing but good things so far.
We have a new third base coach, which I'm sure is very bittersweet. But Tui Sopo, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
What's your interactions been like with him?
Oh, it's been great. I've known Tui for a while now. So the things, the way I take it is, the dynamic and the routines that we've built throughout the last couple years. He's been a part of that. So I feel like it's just, it's rolling over. The few mornings that I've been out there, doing infield stuff, it's been great. So I have no issue. I look forward to it, and I think he's gonna be helpful.
We just spoke to Chris Sale. Just what did you know about him and what he's done over his career, and how excited are you to have him here?
I'm super excited. Obviously, one of the better pitchers in our league. He's. I've faced him once. I've struck out, so I know his stuff is good. So I'm glad I'm behind him and not facing him.
What are your goals? What do you set for your goals for this year for yourself?
For me, it's just the biggest thing is just being as consistent as possible. I don't like to put numbers on anything. I just want to be as consistent as possible each and every day, coming in, being a good teammate, and just showing up and playing.
Do you feel like this team has the most confidence they've had since coming into spring training since you've been here?
Like I said, I definitely feel there's a different vibe as far as like just a chip on the shoulder. Like I said, guys are going, immediately going to work. We've had a ton of guys already here, early position players. So that's a great sign. So there's no lack of effort and work here. So that's for sure.
You spoke highly of.
You mentioned working with Tui a little bit, but just going off of that. What stands about him most as like a person, just from the time you got
He's very, personable, super easy to talk to. And there's a lot of back and forth as far as like just communication, whether, do you like this? Do you like that? Like I'm here, he's here to help us players. And I think that's really great to have a guy like that.
Now you've had a few days to be around Kelenic and see him, how he works and all that. What have been your impressions?
Super driven. I think, he's that, I like to use the word attention to detail, from his prep before he goes out into the cage, to just the preciseness of in the cage work to throwing, just everything is very attention to detail. I think that's pretty unique.
You spoke highly of Chris Sale back at Braves Fest. What's it been like spending some more time around him?
Great guy, wants to win, and is here to do that. I think that's very important, very awesome. Like I said, some brief conversations, but they all been very positive. So, I look forward to have him on the team this year.
What are some ways that you guys are trying to get to know your new teammates outside of just playing with them?
I think the simple, conversations, in the lunchroom to just, talking chop about baseball and whatnot. And Kelnick likes to play golf, so I'm here for that. I think Chriselle likes to play, so anytime you get another golfer is good for me.
You go out with Mike and play golf?
I hadn't yet. So hopefully get out there soon. Obviously he can hit it a long way, so should be fun.
What's the key to getting to know a new pitcher when you're working with them? Just how does that dynamic work?
Just get to know him as a person and as a pitcher too. So just have an idea what makes him tick and what makes him go.
So how do you try to get to know him, I guess, as a person? I mean, what are you doing besides just catching for him?
Just chat.
Yeah.
When we sit in the locker room, talk to him, figure out what's going on in his life, and then build on that.
A lot of guys have mentioned the level of intensity that Chris brings. How much have you gotten a sense of that so far?
Obviously just watching him, he's competitive and intense and fiery. I think that brings a different element. So we're excited to see that.
Do you face him a lot in the AL?
I've never faced Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just always missed him, I guess. Yeah.
Where do you feel like the confidence is in this club? Do you feel like it's even more so than last year?
I think so. And it should be. I think we got better. I've heard it said before, but it's World Series or bust. And I think that's the goal for the team this year.
How does it feel to be a part of a team that isn't just a saying, but it also is a belief that you can win a World Series?
There's no doubt in our minds. That's something that's well within our reach. We have the team, we have the depth, we have the lineup. I think overall it's just well-rounded, very deep.
Last year, this time you're learning like 20 new pitchers. What's it like to just have one or two that are new?
It's gonna be a little easier. A little less on my plate this year. Just having some familiarity. It'll make spring a little bit more enjoyable, I guess.
How much confidence do you have in this pitching staff? Obviously, tons of guys returning. There's some new faces, but there's a lot of veteran arms in this club.
I talked about the depth, and you just look around the locker room, and I see a dozen guys we trust to start big league baseball games and go out there. I don't know how many teams can say that, but I think that's just one of the many strengths we got.
Going back to Sale, what impresses you most about just the skill and stuff he brings to the table?
Big heater, big slider. I think his changeup doesn't get enough credit. I think he's going to have a nice three-pitch mix for us. I'm just excited to see him healthy and back to the level he's going to be at.
What can you say about just catching for Charlie Morton, his longevity in this game?
Charlie's one of my favorite people to catch. I don't know. He's such a sweetheart. I like working with him.
Well, I guess what stands out to him that makes him your favorite?
I don't know. He's just a nice guy. He's a good self-evaluator. I think Chuck's always very honest with me and with himself. And, when pitchers are honest with you, it helps us out there.
Spencer said coffee recommendations are actually the biggest advice he's ever gotten from Charlie.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you share what's he shared with you about coffee?
I'm not a coffee guy, but my wife is, and my wife was like, "Hey, you need to ask Charlie what he recommends as far as the beans and what he uses." Because I was telling her about Charlie's whole setup in the locker room, and he gives some pour-over recommendations, and so we took it and we bought a pour-over.
Yeah. What does the setup kind of look like when it comes? Does he have like a little coffee area?
Yeah. He just makes a good cup of coffee. I usually just do the pot, but if you have a Charlie cup of coffee, you're like, oh, he really cares. He knows what's going on here.
Who are some of Trump and some of the younger catchers that are here in camp? What have you kind of seen from them? Any of them stand out to you so far?
We had these guys last year too, and I'm watching them grow from last year to this year. So Trump, he knows what he's doing. Trump, he's been in the big leagues. He's a as good an extra catcher as you can have. And the team fully trusts him. All the pitchers fully trust him, and that's an awesome luxury to have. And then Baldwin and Tolby, seeing them grow from last year to this year, they made huge improvements. And as far as Sebastian, we're just getting to know him, but so far he fits in.
How big will it be to get some of those arms back? Tyler Mapzik, Ian Anderson eventually. How huge will that be?
I'm excited to see both those guys healthy. I didn't really get a chance to last year, but I've watched those guys pitch, and I know how good they are.
How long did the NLDS exit stick with you mentally?
I don't know if it's left.
Why is that? Is it the way it ended?
It's just anytime you lose your last game, it feels bad. Only one team gets to win it, but you know, it's a bad feeling, and you know, I guess use it as motivation.
I mean, I just coming into the year prepared that whatever the team needs out of me is what I'm ready to do, whatever that is. I think that's just the main thing. I just try to help us win ball games however I can. That's kind of my main focus.
How does it feel, though, to be competing for? There is an open spot in that fifth rotation, and so how do you feel about competing for it?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of good guys, and it's clear that they're going to rotate a lot of guys into that rotation. But I mean, just staying focused and just doing what I can do, just control what I can control is the main thing for me.
Did you learn last year, even if out of camp it doesn't happen, you're going to be in the big leagues probably at some point this year? It's just kind of how.
Yeah, I just trying to stay focused and just whenever they give me that ball, just try to throw it over the plate and get out. So that's kind of just the main plan this year.
Is that something you guys even talk about, like with kind of the other guys on this roster competing for that fifth spot? You guys like have any fun banter when it comes to knowing you guys might be competing for that same spot?
Nothing too crazy. It's just we just kind of go in and just kind of have a good time with the guys every day and just enjoy it.
How do you deal with pressure? How do you personally deal with it?
I don't know. I try not to really think about it. It's still a child's game, so just trying to keep it simple is really important for me.
Does it at least put you at ease, though, that you've been called up, you've made some starts for them, so at least you kind of have had that experience in the majors?
Yeah, definitely getting just having a cup of coffee last year it's definitely a good thing. So just having that experience going into the next year I'm excited.
What's the best piece of advice maybe you've received from Charlie Morin? Because there's a pretty big age gap between the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, just getting to talk to him every day and just not getting too caught up in everything and just keeping it simple has been the main thing he's kind of been talking to me about. So it's been great talking to him.
It seems like Hurston's kind of in a similar spot that you were in last year. Have you had a conversation with him kind of about like any advice or anything like that? You guys have any banter there?
Yeah, I mean, any questions he has, I'm obviously here to help. And I mean, we're kind of going through the same thing right now, so it's just nice to have another guy around my age in the clubhouse to talk to and just kind of go through it with. So it's exciting.
We got a few minutes left here in Sports Tonight. Bailey, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so Sportico put out a release of the most valued franchises in sports for 2024, I believe. Falcons made it at 21. The Hawks were next at 62, and then the Braves at 79. I thought the Falcons were honestly a little high.
Yeah.
And I also thought that the Braves would be ahead of the Hawks.
Yeah, well, obviously with the Falcons being so high, that's the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the NFL is such a powerful.
But they were ahead of the Green Bay Packers and
Really?
the Chiefs.
Really?
Yeah. It's an interesting article. You should go look at it if you haven't seen it.
I'm going to check that out. Maybe market size. I don't know. I don't know what would play into that.
Yeah, I want to say the ones that were up there, like the Dodgers were up there.
Yeah, of course.
I think the Rams were up there. I mean, obviously LA. But my guess is it has a lot to do with how the companies the teams are backed financially with money, along with market size and a lot of other entities.
That's pretty interesting. As we round in here to the second half of the NBA season, I know I'm excited to see here because I'm a big NBA guy. I love the NBA. So I know second half of the season, this is sort of the time of the year where you see the teams who are going to be real contenders start to pull away and some of the teams who are pretenders start to pull back. So that's one thing I love about the second half of the NBA season is that the teams who are going to be there in the end will emerge and teams like the Hawks fall back. Right now, I'm joking. No, I mean, I think the Hawks. Look, we're gonna see what they're made of, right? If they come out, they need to come out swinging. And
we'll give them an opportunity. I'll give them a week or two to see what they can show us. After that, I think you're right. The writing's pretty much on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, well, if they come out swinging, then maybe they're a different team than what I thought. But anyway, that's Sports Tonight here on a Wednesday. Bailey, thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yep.
Always fun, and we'll see it again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.